Hello, and welcome to Fundamentals of People Management, Module 4. I'm Dr. Lon Schiffbauer, and today we are talking about employee training and development. In Module 2, we discussed talent acquisition, and then in Module 3, we talked about delegating responsibilities, authority, and accountability. Well, all of this assumes that our employees know what they're doing, and so that's where training and development come into play. Now, it should be noted that training and development are two distinct activities, each with their own goals and objectives. So with that in mind, let's define the two. Think of training as specific and targeted efforts to measurably increase the employee's performance in their stated roles and responsibilities. It's all about meeting the employees' and organization's needs in the here and now. By contrast, employee development is intended to position employees for possible future organizational needs and opportunities. To do this, development programs try to help employees understand cause and effect relationships, learn from experience, network through new relationships, and think strategically. It's all about developing employees to better meet future, yet-to-be-identified needs. Okay, so with this differentiation in mind, let's now do a deep dive into training and development. And let's go ahead and start with training. For the most part, training is all about making sure that our employees have the skills and competencies necessary to do their actual jobs, the jobs that they were hired to do. Now, there are any number of ways that we can train our employees, and we should look at all of these options when doing so. The first one to consider is simple on-the-job training. This means working with the employee on the job, teaching them as they go, showing them the way that your company and organization does the work. After all, they have the skills and competencies. That's why you hired them. But they don't have the secret sauce that makes your organization competitive in the marketplace. So this is where on-the-job training comes into play. Now, part of on-the-job training can be what's called job shadowing or shoulder-to-shoulder training. This is when somebody more senior and experienced in the organization sits shoulder-to-shoulder with the new employee and kind of walks them through the processes, the steps, and whatever they need in order to do their job. Job shadowing is kind of the reverse. This is when the new employee comes along and follows around the more senior, experienced employee and observes how they do their job and how they approach their day-to-day challenges. There's also formal classroom training. Now, with some companies and organizations, you may have an actual course, a university, a series of certifications that your employees have to earn before they can continue on in their careers. In other cases, we're just talking about simple employee training, half a day or maybe some online training and so forth. Or perhaps you're having them attend seminars and workshops. These are examples of formal classroom training. Another way you can consider training employees is through simulations. Now, of course, in the technical world, such as, say, like pilots and so forth, they're in these cool-ass simulators, and this is how they get the cockpit training they need to be competent pilots. However, we can use simulations in other organizations as well. You can simulate customer interactions or disaster response or any other sort of event that is a regular occurrence for your employee's day-to-day job. Not that disaster response would be an everyday occurrence, but you get the idea. You want to make sure they're trained on that stuff. Now, these are just a few of the ways that you can go about training your employees, but these are tactical solutions. Before we start training, we need to kind of figure out, what kind of training program do we need in the first place? And of course, there are different ways of approaching the development of a training program, but the one that I would like to share with you today is called the Addie Model. Now, Addie is an acronym for assessment, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. So, with this understanding, let's take a look at this. Assessment determines what kind of training is needed in the first place. After all, you have the work that needs to be done and you have the current skill sets of your employees. Well, there may be a gap. That is our opportunity for training. Next are the phases of design and development. Here we take the information that we gathered in the assessment portion of the Addie model and we say, okay, how do we actually design a course, map out a blueprint by which we can deliver these skills to our employees? The blueprint should include the expected outcomes of the program. What will the employee be able to do after going through the training that they cannot currently do today? This way, we can really target the training and make sure that it is appropriate and germane to our organizational objectives and the work that needs to be done. So at this point, we're now ready to implement. We've got ourselves a good assessment of what skills we need to cover in the training. We've designed and developed the training. We understand what the expected outcomes of the training are. So now we implement the thing. Now, of course, no training program is going to be perfect the first time, so I recommend running a pilot. This means taking maybe a small portion of your employees and putting them through this training program that you've developed, and then assessing and ascertaining the success or failure of the program, making some tweaks here and there, and then you can go ahead and do a full launch. Next, we have evaluation, which is evaluating the effectiveness of this program that we've just put together. Now, I want to spend a little bit of time on this, not only because it's important, but every step is important, but because this is the portion of the whole program that is often overlooked or underappreciated. Evaluation includes the systematic collection of data and information necessary to make effective decisions related to the selection, adoption, value, and modification of the training activities. Now, of course, you know as well as I do that evaluation is going to include the collection of data, but it's not just willy-nilly ad hoc data. We need to make sure that we are systematically collecting the right kind of data to give us the right insights into the effectiveness of the program. Now, oftentimes when we do training and so forth, you'll get a satisfaction survey afterwards. How satisfied were you with the training? And you go, okay, on a scale of 1 to 5, I was 4. All right, that's fine. But that doesn't really tell us much. It certainly doesn't tell us whether or not they acquired the skills we need them to acquire. Furthermore, satisfaction, well, they're looking at things like how difficult was the training, how boring was it, how entertaining was it, things like this. We don't care about any of that. We only care about skills acquisition. Now, mind you, good skills acquisition training will be engaging and entertaining to some degree and certainly not boring and not too heinously difficult. But the point is, we want to measure skills acquisition, not satisfaction. And of course, by then collecting and evaluating all this data, we can then modify the training as necessary to better meet our training objectives. Okay, so that's a good overview of employee training. Now let's look at employee development. As I mentioned earlier, training is all about delivering the skills the employee needs in the here and now, right now to do their jobs. On the other hand, employee development is about making the employee more valuable for future yet to be understood needs. Now, why this is important is pretty self-explanatory, but let's consider some of the specifics. Of course, employee development ensures that you will have a supply of employees in the future and perhaps employees who can move up in the organization and be part of perhaps any, succession plans. That's it. You want to make sure that they can be part of a succession plan if necessary. Employee development also improves your ability to attract and retain the very best employees. People want to grow in their careers. They want to grow in their skill sets and their competencies. And this is what employee development is all about. It also, to a certain degree, helps promote organizational goodwill and sort of a promise to employees. When organizations promote from within, this sends the message to the employees that they are valuable, that they are cared for, that they have a place in the organization, and the organization wants to keep them around. And so employee development programs helps promote this ethos in the organization. Okay, so just like with training, there's any number of ways that we can develop our employees. So let's take a look at a few of these. The first one is job rotation. This is when employees just kind of move from one job to another job to another job. That way they can learn and acquire different skill sets in each one of these positions, develop a greater understanding of the organization as a whole, and develop their networks in each one of these organizations. So, for example, when I worked for Intel Corporation, I started out in marketing, then went to purchasing, and then went to HR. This allowed me to develop my skills and really gain a greater understanding of the strategic mission of the company as a whole. There are also assist-to positions. Now, an assist-to position, somebody's assistant, is like an executive admin, but even more so, an executive admin on steroids. They're helping their executive prepare PowerPoint presentations, meet with stakeholders, align organizational objectives between different departments, and so forth. They are really getting into the day-to-day nitty-gritty of an executive's workday. This gives them the insight and understanding they need to one day move up into that position. Another form of employee development is committee assignments. Depending on your industry, there may be committees, there may be project teams, you can call them what you will. This allows them to look at the organization through a more strategic lens. That way they can understand the strategic challenges that the organization are going through, rather than just simply focusing on the tactical challenges that they have to deal with day in and day out in their current positions. There are also mentorships. Now, a mentorship is when an older, more seasoned, experienced employee takes an up-and-coming employee under their wing and really kind of helps them see the world through their eyes. This means explaining how the organization works, both at a high strategic level and kind of the low-down, nitty-gritty, dirty political level. It also helps develop their networks, because these senior experienced employees, they know a lot of people. And the younger person might really like to have those folks in their professional networks. And of course, the mentor can give guidance and career counseling, help the employee sort of visualize where they want to take their career, and give feedback and criticisms to different approaches that they may take in developing these careers. Now, some of these mentorship programs, they could be formal programs within an organization. My own personal experience has been that the more effective mentor relationships are relationships that the mentors and mentees actually go out and initiate on their own. So you may want to encourage your employees to reach out to more senior employees, directors, executives, you name it, and start developing those relationships. It's best for them, it's best for the organization, and that means it's best for you. In fact, everything we've discussed today, training, development, all of it is in your best interest. Remember, your success is measured by the success of your team. And the better you're able to train and develop your team, the better success you are going to have in your own career. So get in there and do it. Now, of course, once you've trained all your employees, you'll want to help them set goals so that they can meet both their own personal career goals as well as team goals and organizational goals. And that's what we're going to talk about next time. So stick around and let's figure out how to keep an organization moving forward. All right? Hey, thanks a lot for joining. And until we talk again, have a fantastic day.